Dan, I remember how emotional you were in the immediate moments after the June 27th, 2024 debate because of what you saw on the stage. And with all this new reporting coming out, and I should disclose that I gave both of you copies of the book so you would have a little bit more information. Do you feel like you were duped, Van? Like, how do you feel?
First, this book is extraordinary. I don't care who you are, left, right, or otherwise. Anybody who cares about this country and about just the dynamics of power, this is the emperor's new clothes playing itself out in real time. Everybody knew, but everyone was afraid to say, except for David Axelrod for 2 years, that something was wrong here. And so, I was shocked. I love Joe Biden. I don't like him. I love him. I got a chance to work with him when I was a part of the Obama administration and loved him more every day. I was shocked to see his condition when he came out, and so was the world. And that wasn't the first time he was in that condition. The book makes it very, very clear. There are people who knew and said nothing. And that is a crime against this republic. And I think the Democrats are going to pay for a long time for being a part of what is now being revealed to be a massive cover-up.
Van,
At the Chris Highland Show, really appreciate you rolling up. Lynn Sanger in the house. Thanks so much for being here. We have got to keep talking about the Biden cover-up. The Biden cognition, physical decline cover-up that has now reached epic proportions. As much as I dislike the man, and I think he is a complete grifter and a charlatan and a fool, Jake Tapper's book, which is clearly a grift. Jake Tapper knew, he absolutely knew that Joe Biden was a mental vegetable a long time ago. Okay. The fact that he is now writing this tell-all book proclaiming the truth to the world is all about money and some prestige. He should have done this 5 years ago, but he didn't because he's all in the tank for the Democrats and the globalists. But regardless, that being said, I think the world, it will be a better place because of this book for the mere fact that it is forcing a spotlight on Joe Biden, on the Democrat Party, and on the clear cover-up that has happened. This has now been exacerbated. The Joe Biden's mental decline, his mental cognitive issues, which are obviously highlighted in Tapper's book, have now been compounded by the fact that he has been diagnosed with serious cancer, stage 4, essentially terminal, metastasizing prostate cancer. And every doctor on every liberal network has said, no, this was there for years. This is not something that has shown up in the last 200 days. They would have known about this for years. And the fact that insiders in the White House knew about Joe Biden's mental decline, knew about his physical issues, and did not let the American public know, did not let members of both the Democrat and Republican Party know. They did not let the Republic know about the diminished capacity of the president is the biggest cover-up, I think, in American history. I mean, I think it's probably even bigger than Russiagate. The fact that we had someone who was not capable of doing the job, sitting, pretending to be the president of the United States. And now we find out that all the presidential decisions were essentially made by 5 non-elected bureaucrats. This is the biggest scandal, possibly in American history, and people need to go to prison. Van Hall was absolutely right about one thing. This is sinking the Democrats right now. And he said that this is a crime against our republic, but it is more than that. It is a crime. It is a crime crime. The fact that you had reporting requirements, the fact that you had an incapacitated president and you took no action as members of the administration, that is a crime. So we're going to get into this. I want you to see some of these clips that we've got today. Really appreciate everybody rolling up. First, we're going to jump into Scott Jennings. So Scott Jennings is talking about this on the failed CNN show, Abby Phillips, of which Scott Jennings and the occasional, when he's on there, Shermichael Singleton are the only two bright spots in this ridiculous dumpster fire of a show. But the only reason people watch it is to see Scott Jennings and Shermichael basically school these liberals. But anyway, we're going to dive into Jennings on that show, because then we're going to dive into Jennings, because he did an interview today with Barry Cunningham, and he talked about excerpts from Tapper's book that I think are worth mentioning. So as we get into this, please like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know how we're doing in the comments. Also, share this with everybody that you know. Let's dive right in. Here we go. Resnap in the house, just in time to dive into a little Scott Jennings.
In his case, for a long period of time, he was serving as the president and also was a candidate for reelection. And so, yeah, I mean, I think if you're telling the American people for any period of time, not only am I competent to serve and capable of serving today, but I can serve 4 more years, you do deserve, as an American citizen, to know what is the full health situation of the president. And as Dr. West said, you know, the number of lies that were told on his behalf by his White House staff and his campaign and the whole Democratic apparatus. Today, whatever we hear today, by default, the American people are going to say, well, they lied to us about one thing. They're never going to tell us the truth about this thing. I'm like you. This sounds terrible. I'm not a doctor, but just hearing you talk, it sounds terrible. And I think we should pray for the president and pray for his health. And I hope he gets a miracle here. But as a political matter, I think a massive amount of trust has been lost and a massive amount of credibility was spent on covering up for him, and it's going to be hard for the Democrats to get it back.
Are we forgetting here, and I agree with everything that you said, and I agree with a lot of what you said, but are we forgetting here that Ronnie Jackson, when he was the White House doctor for Donald Trump, said that Donald Trump was in good enough health to live to be 200, that he had such incredible genes that he was going to live forever.
We are very much not forgetting that. That's exactly why.
He was 6'3" and 239 pounds.
Really, that's the answer. You've got the biggest cover-up in American history, and the only thing you can do is say, but Trump. But the Trump doctor said he was 240 pounds and not 239 pounds. First of all, that has nothing to do with his capability as president. It has nothing to do with his mental cognition. It has nothing to do with his physical endurance. It has nothing to do with a terminal illness. This is absolute garbage. But this is exactly what globalist propaganda pundits do. They have nothing to stand on anymore because everybody knows now that they were in on the scam, that the American people were lied to for the last 5 to 6 years about Joe Biden's mental and physical health, and he was allowed to be president when he was incapacitated. And they are holding the whole Democrat Party responsible. And the Democrat Party needs to be held legally responsible. We'll get into that. But her best comeback is but Trump. Oh my gosh.
Pounds, why 239? Because 240 would make him obese, so he had to come in at 1 pound below that.
I think that this is exactly why I'm asking the question, because I think a lot of Democrats think that was a scandal that Ronnie Jackson maybe lied about President Trump's weight. And it could be weight.
Oh my gosh, he lied about the weight. Again, this is absolutely ridiculous. Now, we're going to jump from here to News Nation, because Bill O'Reilly was talking about this very story on News Nation and had a very different take about who is potentially to blame. Let's go.
Strong, functioning Democratic Party that is not willing to deal honestly with the Joe Biden health cover-ups.
No, the party has to be realigned, new leadership, new philosophy, if it wants to compete going forward. But this is a fascinating story because it now comes to one man. And that man is Colonel Kevin O'Connell. Colonel Kevin O'Connell.
He's actually trying to talk Kevin O'Connor, who is the president's physician and has been for the last 6 years plus.
Who's Biden's personal physician in the White House. Gave him a clean bill of health in February 2024. Colonel's retired from the U.S. Army, distinguished service there. He needs to be called almost immediately in front of a House committee. You could do a number of them, under oath about the cancer.
Why is this important?
So I don't want to be, because if O'Connell, Dr. O'Connell, knew the President of the United States had prostate cancer and did not say that, it's a crime.
What's the crime?
Felony. The crime is, there are a number of them, but it's using federal, let's say, federal access to mislead the public. There's a whole bunch of laws that say if you are a civil servant, you have to report what you find out honestly. Now, if O'Connell covered it up, then he's going to be charged with a felony. There'll be a variety of felonies. But
exactly. If he knew about the incapacity of the president and did not report it to oversight authorities, it is a felony. Now, let's keep watching because O'Reilly's going to get into the fact of, well, what if he was told? Let's keep going.
But that shouldn't be done by Pam Bondi and the Justice Department because it'll look partisan. Okay? It should be done by a congressional committee under oath. Why didn't you report this, doctor? And he could say, I didn't know. Why didn't you give the blood test that almost every conceivable president gets about the prostate? Why didn't you do that? And questions like that have to be answered. Now, I could guess, but I don't want to do that. It's irresponsible. But I'll tell you, coupled with the decline in mental acuity, and remember, O'Connell had signed off on it. He's fine.
Yeah.
He's vibrant. He's this, he's that. You got a big, big scandal here.
It's a huge scandal, but hold on. You're saying this should all come down to this doctor who's going to be charged. If the doctor was ordered by the President of the United States, you don't say anything about this. And we went through the 2024 letter that you're talking about pretty carefully. It was very lawyered up. I said last night on Natasha's show, this was written by a lawyer, not a doctor. There's nothing new to report. He is fit for duty. On all the sections they went through, prostate, normally PSA score is reported for past presidents. They didn't put any of that in there. You want to focus on the doctor and not Joe Biden? Come on, Bill.
Absolutely. No, that's where you start, Inspector Clouseau.
Exactly. That's where you start. I love this. I mean, Bill O'Reilly's clearly having none of this goofball. Inspector Clouseau, that's where you start. You haul him and every single member of the administration before Congress under oath, and you ask them the questions, what did you know and when? If the doctor knew he had cancer, knew he was mentally declining, and was told by either Biden or members of the administration not to say anything, that is a felony. It's a felony not only for him, but also for anybody who knew. Haul everyone. We need to have our own essential J6 committee type hearing. Publicize it on national TV every night, prime time, 3 hours a night. Run these hearings. Put them under oath and ask everybody, get to the bottom of this. Because anybody who knew that Joe Biden was mentally or physically incapacitated and did not report it to Congress, to other elements of the government, but hid it, they need to go to prison. That is a felony. Now, to further exacerbate this, looping it back with Jake Tapper's book, let's go back to our friend, Scott Jennings, who was on the Barry Cunningham show today and leaked a huge bombshell coming out of Tapper's book, which was released today. Check this out, because this dovetails exactly with what Bill O'Reilly is saying. Here we go. And Lynn Sanger, you're right, and treasonous, just like we talked about in yesterday's show. This goes back to treason.
Everything that's been happening over the last 2 or 3 days. And it seems now, instead of taking this issue head on, they're still trying to deflect about the Biden thing, saying, well, Trump's crazy and we didn't know. why is it? When, I don't even know. Would the book come out tomorrow? Jake Tapper's book, I believe it's tomorrow. Why all
Comes
of a
out today,
sudden?
actually.
Oh, it's today. Okay, so we're going to hear even more stuff, I guess, today. Have you read it yet?
I've read quite a bit, excerpts of it, and lots of passages in it, and I'm still reading the entire book. And I'll be doing some television on it later today, because obviously at CNN we're doing a lot of promotion of it. But there's one passage that really stands out to me, and it's, there's a passage that says there was an enormous cover-up led by Joe Biden's family to cover up his mental and physical decline, and that the country was being run by 5 unelected people, and at best, Joe Biden was a senior member of the board. Now, that doesn't
let that sink in. Let me replay that.
Back to,
I don't know what you think, but I think if I'm an average voter and I'm looking at these two political parties from the beginning, but I think this book is a serious public service. Democrats are saying, well, Democratic Party, and the people who
back and
a fringe political movement in some cases.
Anyway, I think I missed that part. But anyway, listen to what he said. That the cover-up was orchestrated by the Biden family, his physical and mental decline, and that the government was being run by 5 unelected bureaucrats, and at best, Joe Biden was a senior board member when he was lucid. That bombshell right there goes right back to Bill O'Reilly, and it says everything that happened in this administration was illegal. It was a felony. All of the cover-up of his mental, physical decline, the fact that you had 5 bureaucrats running the show, using auto pen that the president did not know what he was signing. That is corroborated by Johnson, who said when he met with Biden, he was talking about the LNG executive order, that Biden had no idea what he was talking about. 5 unelected bureaucrats, those 5 unelected bureaucrats, that doctor and everybody who surrounded them need to be hauled in front of Congress and put under oath. And when it comes to the Biden family, if there's going to be no effort to undo their pardons, which is going to be very difficult to do, okay, because of the broad pardon powers that the president has granted, they can be forced to testify. No pleading the fifth for them because they are under presidential pardon. So they can be forced to tell all. And that needs to happen. Everybody in the administration needs to be vetted. They need to be deposed. They need to be deposed and interrogated in public in front of Congress. And Congress needs to forward each and every person who broke the law to Bondi for prosecution. That's what this is, the biggest scandal since Watergate, since the assassination of President Kennedy. You've got it. This is probably the biggest scandal in American history. And Jennings having dropped that little bombshell from the book is just huge. Now, to dovetail to that, here's Megyn Kelly, who was asking Tapper a very specific question about, what did he know, or, what did he know and when did he know it? And this is great. Here we go.
Has been that you're complaining about a cover-up about Joe Biden's mental acuity that failed, that right-wing pundits saw, the right wing in general saw, that independent media saw and reported on, and that was no mystery even to left-wing and so-called mainstream reporters who were not fooled but chose willful blindness instead of honest reporting, and that you were part of it. How do you respond?
It's a tough and fair question. I would say that Alex and I, after Election Day, interviewed more than 200 people, 200 mostly Democratic insiders, and almost all of these interviews were after the election. And they justified to themselves what they had done in terms of misrepresenting how the president was, not just to me and Alex and other reporters, but also just to each other and to the world and to Democrats and to the cabinet, et cetera, by saying that there was this existential threat of Donald Trump and only Joe Biden could beat Donald Trump, and that justified everything in their minds. After that existential threat was over, because the election was over and Donald Trump won, they were, we found, Alex and myself, remarkably willing to talk to us either off the record or on background, or in some cases on the record, about what they saw. One of the things that emerged was that there were two Bidens. One was the fine Biden, serviceable, adequate, and the other one was a non-functioning Biden, and that's the one we saw the night of the debate. And that's the one we saw some clips of here and there that you just showed. And that non-functioning Biden, the one that lost his train of thought in a significant way, not in the way just that every human loses their train of thought, but in a way that shows that he's having trouble articulating his very views. And the one who forgot the name of close aides, who was not able to come up with George Clooney's name, didn't seem to recognize him, all that sort of thing. That non-functioning Biden was, according to our reporting, showed up as far back as 2015, after the death of Beau, where one top aide said that tragedy, the loss of Beau, was like watching somebody pour water on sand. That was the effect on his psyche. And there were other moments, 2017, 2018.
So going back, so his mental decline and his physical decline go back as far as 2015 when it began. And you're trying to tell me that this sudden cancer diagnosis, this dovetails with every single doctor that has been on every single liberal news network and even on Fox as the quasi-non-liberal, saying that no, Joe Biden has if this condition, if this diagnosis is accurate, Joe Biden has had this for the better part of 6 years to a decade. That puts it right at 2015. Joe Biden's mental and physical decline began 6 to 10 years ago, and nobody reported it. Nobody in the globalist cabal propaganda media, and nobody in his administration. Now, the globalist cabal propaganda media are not guilty of a crime, but everybody in that administration, from Kevin O'Connor, the personal physician, to the 5 unelected bureaucrats who evidently ran the country, to his family, to everybody, is guilty of felonies. Now, his family's been pardoned preemptively, but everybody else does not enjoy that preemptive pardon, and all of them need to be hauled before Congress in prime time and deposed under oath, and we need to get to the bottom of this, and there need to be criminal referrals. That's what this comes down to. This is the biggest cover-up, the biggest scandal potentially in American history, and there has to be accountability. People need to be held accountable for this, up to and including jail time. That's how big this is. We had a non-president running the country. We had 5 unelected bureaucrats running the country. That is a crime. This is absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. Now, not only is this a huge problem for those who were involved, but this is sinking the Democrat Party. At the same time that Trump is out on the world stage showing class and backbone and chutzpah and pride in America and American strength and the resurgence, the golden age of America, the Democrats are falling off a cliff, and it is becoming evident in every single poll that is out there. And this is exactly what we want for the next 12 months plus, leading right up into the midterms. Check this out. We're going to have a little blast from the past. This is Ultimate Life Loser Hakeem Jeffries talking about presidential approval just about a month ago. Before we do that, please like, comment, and subscribe, and please share Chris Highland Show with everybody that you know. Here we go.
Up, Donald Trump. But Donald Trump made a core promise to the American people. He was going to lower costs on day one. Costs aren't going down, they're going up. Inflation is on the way up. Donald Trump is crashing the economy.
Nope. We all know that's not true now. The latest April inflation numbers came in low. We've got 1.6% inflation is what we're looking at. This is absolutely amazing. So no, prices are down, inflation's down, everything's going in the right direction. So Hakeem Jeffries, this did not age well, has already been proven wrong.
And Republicans in the Congress, these rubber stamp Republicans, are actively letting it happen. And that's why the American people have said inside of 100 days, enough. This is a disaster. It's an unmitigated disaster. This guy has the lowest approval rating of any president in modern American history inside of 100 days. That's extraordinary. This is the same group that bragged to all of you and the American people that they had some extraordinary mandate. We said from the very beginning there was no mandate. News of our demise was greatly exaggerated.
No, it wasn't. You are absolutely running yourself off a cliff. Now let's pick up from there. We know the prices are down. We know that pride in America is being restored. We know that his Middle East trip was a unmitigated success. We know that everything about this little ridiculous Hakeem Jeffries speech has been proven wrong. Now let's go check out right direction, right track, wrong track. The two primary indicators leading into the midterms for any president are two things: presidential approval and right track, wrong track. Those are the two things that determine whether the president loses seats in Congress, which is the norm, or stays level or even gains seats, which is the exception. But it has happened. And it happens when right track, wrong track is in the right direction and when presidential approval is north of 50%. Well, let's check this out. Right track, wrong track is the highest it has ever been. Ever. Right direction, right direction 49, wrong direction 46. Absolutely amazing. Highest it has ever been. Now let's check out recent presidential approval ratings, shall we? Before we get into the real presidential approval. So here's historical presidential approvals. Let's just check them out. George W. Bush, 46%. Obama, 47%. Trump in his first term, 49%. We're not going to talk about Biden because he was in the 30s. Everybody knew he was grossly unpopular. But even Donald Trump back then, 49%. Now, check out the latest from a number of polls on presidential approval. This is absolutely amazing. Trump's presidential numbers have surged. April 30th to May 1st, approved 46, disapproved 44. He's basically even. Not anymore. Approved 55%, disapproved 44. That is a net plus 11. That is huge. That is getting close to 60. And is the last time a president won 30 plus seats in the midterms, their approval rating was in the near 60%. This is absolutely amazing. So right track at 49%. Yes, Lynn. Right track 49%. Wrong track 46%. Presidential approval at net plus 11. This is a minefield. This is absolute decimation for the Democrat Party. That's what's happening right now. President Trump went overseas to the Middle East, reset all of our foreign policy there, got commitments for $5+ trillion in investment, Boeing orders totaling north of $200 billion. And his presidential approval is soaring. At the same time, the Democrats are stuck in the Biden cover-up on one half, and the other half of them are doubling down on stupid. They're doubling down on the 20% of an 80-20 issue, which I want to show you this because Marco Rubio absolutely destroyed Van Hollen today in a committee oversight meeting. This is beautiful. I have been pleasantly surprised with Marco Rubio. I mean, I was very worried that he was going to be kind of it might be deep state, might be neocon. Marco Rubio has been amazing as Secretary of State. Absolutely phenomenal. Now check out this exchange with Van Hollen, because on one side, the Democrats are mired in the Biden cover-up scandal, and on the other side, they are doubling down on every 20% issue they can find, immigration being one of them. Here we go.
Directly and personally, that I regret voting for you for Secretary of State. I yield back.
May I respond?
You may, sir.
Well, first of all, your regret for voting for me confirms I'm doing a good job.
Yes! That was the opening salvo. I love it. The fact that you regret voting for me means I'm doing the right job because you're an idiot, Van Hollen. You're the guy who went on his little photo op down to El Salvador to have drinks with a gangbanger. Everybody remember Donald Trump's nickname for Marco Rubio, Little Marco, Lil Marco. Lil Marco is no longer Little Marco. Little Marco is Big Marco, and Big Marco is swinging a big stick. This is absolutely awesome.
Based on what I know.
Well, that's just a flippant statement, Mr. Secretary.
Can I respond, Mr. Chairman?
You may.
I didn't ask
Senator, please let the Secretary have
I'd be
the floor.
happy to, but then I can respond to his.
Your time's up, Senator, and willfully used, I might add. Your remarks do not represent the view of this committee.
Well, Mr.
Secretary,
Chairman.
Your time's up and woefully used. This is just great.
Please.
Well, I can't respond to everything he said because much of these are untrue, but I'll go through a few. First of all, I'm actually very proud of the work we've done with USAID. For example, I don't regret cutting $10 million for male circumcisions in Mozambique. I don't know how that makes us stronger and more prosperous as a nation. I don't regret psychosocial support services.
I raised Sudan, Mr. Secretary.
Can I respond,
Senator? Senator, I'd ask you to suspend. You had 7 straight minutes.
I chose to use my time that way, Mr. Chairman. That's my right to
Please
use
suspend
my time that way.
Secretary Rubio.
Well, I can go on. I mean, there's other things.
In other words, Senator, shut the F up. I mean, you don't ever, one of these days, maybe I'll get to be a Senate or House committee chairman because I will not take this. I'd tell him once to suspend, but then there would be shouting match after that. And I would probably use some profanity. But anyway, let's go.
Here we spent $227,000 for Big Cat's YouTube channel from USAID. We spent $14 million for social cohesion in Mali, whatever the hell that means. So I can go on and on. I got the list here, and there's more. I didn't even bring the whole list. In the case of El Salvador, absolutely. Absolutely. We deported gang members, including the one you had a margarita with. And that guy is a...
Including the one you had a margarita with.
human trafficker, and that guy is a gangbanger, and the evidence is going to be clear. In the days to come, you're going to see who you went to defend.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman.
Secretary Rubio has the floor.
Mr. Chairman, he can't make unsubstantiated comments like that.
Secretary Rubio has the floor. You had
Secretary
your time.
Rubio should take that testimony to the federal court.
Senator, shut the F up. Secretary Rubio has the floor. I mean, this guy is worse than my 5-year-old child in terms of obedience and manners.
The United States, because he hasn't done it under oath.
Here's another point, okay? There is a division in our government between the federal branch and the judicial branch. No judge in the judicial branch cannot tell me or the president how to conduct foreign policy. No judge can tell me how I have to outreach to a foreign partner or what I need to say to them. And if I do reach to that foreign partner and talk to them, I have under no obligation to share that with the judiciary branch. Just like a judge cannot order me to negotiate with a foreign minister of Russia, they cannot order me to negotiate with a foreign minister or the president of El Salvador. And if I did negotiate with them, which we have responded to them, and we've told them we've had communications with the president of El Salvador, I am under no obligation under our division of powers in this country and to share with the judicial branch how I conducted diplomacy of the United States. It would actually be counterproductive. If I started sharing with courts, or frankly, with the media, my conversations with foreign leaders and all of their details, no foreign leader would talk to me again, and we would break trust with them. So I have complied with every court order. What I won't comply with is an order to disclose what I'm saying and what we're talking about with a foreign leader, because then they won't talk to me. Diplomacy doesn't work that way. About the student visas, let me say this. I don't deport anybody, and I don't snatch anybody. The State Department does not have officers in the street snatching everybody. What I do is revoke visas. And it's very simple. A visa is not a right. It is a privilege. People apply for student visas to come into the United States and study. And if you tell me that you're coming to the United States to lead campus crusades, to take over libraries and try to burn down buildings and acts of violence, we're not going to give you a visa.
Is that what Ms. Ostork did?
We're not going to give you a visa.
Is that what she did? Come on, Mr. Secretary.
And every single one of these cases, the factors are different.
Senator,
the bottom line is, if you're coming here to stir up trouble on our campuses, we will deny you a visa. And if you have a visa and we find you, we will revoke it. And we're going to do more. There are more coming. We're going to continue to revoke the visas of people who are here as guests and are disrupting our higher education facilities. People are paying money. These kids pay money to go to school, and they have to walk through a bunch of lunatics
to the
who are
tough
here on student
newspapers
visas.
disrupting the
Simple
foreign
as
policy of the United
I
States.
want to do more. I hope we can
That's
find more of these people.
pathetic, Mr.
In fact,
Secretary.
the other day, some guys led a riot. I forgot what university it was, and I asked, please, can you find the arrest records of all the people that were arrested at that riot at that campus? Because if any of them have a visa, we're going to revoke it.
I feel so much safer when you lock up people like Ms. Osterg, Mr. Secretary.
We've had enough.
I feel safer. Absolutely. They are guests in our country. And if they are disruptive, get them the hell out. 100%. Big Marco schools Van Hollen. I love it. He has become you are correct, Lynn. He has become an absolute beast lately. He is no longer Lil Marco of 2016 when he was running for president against Trump in the primary. No. He has come into his own as an America First representative. And I love the fact that he absolutely put the beat down on Van Hollen, who is a grandstanding moron. This is why the Democrats are absolutely falling off a cliff. They stand with the 20%. They stand with the waste, fraud, and abuse of USAID. They fight for it. They cling to it. At the same time, they are fighting for and clinging to the fact that their illusion that Joe Biden was Joe Biden had the capacity to be president, and there was not a crime committed. This is going to blow up in their face. This is absolutely amazing. So shout out to Marco, shout out to Scott Jennings and everybody involved. Thanks. Shout out to everybody who's here. Resnap, Lynn, thanks so much for being here. Really appreciate everybody rolling up. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And most of all, share a Chris Highland Show. Remember, God is good and he is sovereign. It'll all be good in the end. Till I catch you next time. More winning, baby.